Hey guys, what's up, how's it going? My name is Rob and welcome back once again for another video. So in today's video, we're going to be doing something a little special. This is a video that I've been meaning to do for a while and I promised you guys that I would do on the channel. And in this video, I'm going to share with you guys some simple budget-friendly, cheap, healthy recipes that you guys can make. Because on this channel, we're focused on personal finance and investing, and one of the goals on this channel was basically to see if I could live off my dividend income. And in order to do that, we have to be smart with our budgeting and whatnot, and that's what allows me to save up and invest as much money as I have been every single month. So when it comes to buying your groceries, cooking your meals, it's important that you budget and you're not spending too much money, but it's also important that you're buying and you're making healthy things for yourself because healthy meals allow you to be more productive, to stop you from getting sick, to make you feel better, and you'll just perform better and have a better quality of life. So it's very important. So in today's video, we're going to talk about 3 different recipes that I got for you guys. I try my best to kind of make them a little bit different, but we're really focused on good quality stuff here. It'll be mostly fresh fruits and vegetables, and I'm going to try to make them as simple as possible, and they're going to be probably around the $1 to $2 range per serving. Some of them will be cheaper, some of them will kind of be close to there. As you guys will see, most of the recipes we have here are very basic, and by the way, feel free to substitute whatever you want. You guys can add your own things. You can add meat, you can add vegetables, do whatever you want. It's really up to you guys, and of course, depending on where you live in the world, things might be a little bit more expensive or might be a little bit cheaper than they are here. So I just want to kind of point that out there. So let's get in the video and let's talk about the first recipe I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. Alright, so the first thing we're going to cover here is you need a blender to make the smoothie, obviously, and we have the bananas here. That's going to be the first thing we're going to do. Now, bananas are super cheap, as you guys probably know. You can literally get a whole thing of bananas for $1. I got these ones. They're like nice little ripe bananas. You can use ripe ones or green ones, whatever ones you prefer. And I'm just going to toss this banana in here. Don't worry about the blender being a little bit dirty. We made a smoothie earlier, so here's the greens. And greens are one thing, like I buy the fancy ones here if they go on sale, but you can just buy spinach or whatever cheap ones you get. Just kind of browse around because some are cheaper than others. This is a nice little mixed batch where you can get a bunch of different ones mixed together, and this is an organic one. They were on sale for pretty cheap. I think it was like $2 or $3, which is not normal, so I managed to pick it up here. I'm just going to grab a handful of this, and if you guys have a hard time with the greens at first, you can just put less or kind of just use baby spinach or something that's a little bit less green tasty, and that'll be a little bit easier for you guys to eat. Next up, we have some berries. Berries are pretty cheap. I like to stock up on them when they go down to about $3 to $4 a bag here. Obviously, fresh ones are ideal, but frozen ones are great because they last forever, and you get quite a bit, and you really don't need a lot to add a lot of flavor to a smoothie, and you can literally eat berries all day because they're just so good for you. So this is a mixed blend, and this is like my go-to smoothie, so I'm just going to dump a bunch in. Don't worry about how much you put in. The more you put in, the more mushier and thicker your smoothie will be versus more liquidy. Next up we have is some ground flax seeds. As you guys can see, I paid $1.50 for this. I used like half the container already. Flax seeds are kind of like your protein and healthy fats you'll get in your smoothie. You can use chia seeds or hemp seeds, although they are a little bit more expensive. Flax seeds are like the cheapest ones, and I'm going to dump a bunch in here. Probably a little bit more than I need, but whatever, it's good to go. And next up we're going to use some almond milk. So you can use almond milk or water or coconut milk, whatever you want, and I'm going to use about 2 cups here. The more almond milk you use, the more liquidy it will be, and the more it'll be like juice, and the less you use, the more thicker it'll be. And I usually use a lot of almond milk because I like to make my smoothie a little bit on the thicker side, but it's up to you guys how you want to do it. So I'm just going to pour that in there, measure it up to be 2 cups because I got this nice little measuring thing on my blender here, as you guys can see, and we're going to pour that in here. Let it fill up, and like I said, you could use water or whatever you want, but the almond milk I find adds a lot of flavor to a smoothie and makes it a little bit more tastier. So I'm just going to blend this up on my blender on high speed. And again, you see when I made the smoothie this time, it's a little bit on the chunkier side. So normally I would make it a little more liquidy. But yeah, I just I didn't put enough almond milk in here, but that's okay. You can always put a little bit more after if you want, or you can always add another banana. Bananas also add like that nice mushy kind of liquidy texture as well. I'm just going to pour this in here into the mason jars. Usually a smoothie will make about 2 full mason jars, which is 2 servings. And as you guys can see, I didn't really use a lot of ingredients. So even though like some of these things might be a little bit expensive to buy at first, they make a lot of smoothies, like especially if you don't waste them. And then you can just pop the lid on and toss them in the fridge, and they'll last for up to 24 hours if you want to keep them. So, and this might cost you like $1 to $2 if you did the math on it. It's really not that much, and you're getting so much nutrition. And I'm just going to mix these up a little bit to make them a little bit more liquidy. But you're getting so much nutrition. Like, look at that. Like, that's all fresh fruits and vegetables, literally, right there. Like, you can't go wrong with that. Alright, so as you guys can see, green smoothies are one of the easiest ways to get a lot of nutrients into your diet, and to make lots of servings. You can make like one batch, and you can have easily 2 servings. You can keep them in the fridge, like I mentioned earlier. They last for about up to 24 hours, so they're a really good way to just get a bunch of good nutrients into your body for breakfast or something like that, or whenever you want it as a snack during the day for a really, really cheap price. So the next recipe we're going to be talking about in this video is going to be, I guess, like a stir fry or a curry. It's going to be a tomato egg stir fry type kind of thing. It's a very Chinese authentic oriented recipe. Apparently I've had this many years ago, and I just fell in love with it, and I make it all the time. And just like with the other recipes, this one you can really alter. You can add different things. You can or you can take away things if you don't like them. You can add meat, whatever you want to do, to kind of make it better, or add different spices and whatnot. So this is a really simple one. It's really tasty, and this one makes a ton, and this one is super cheap. Like, this one costs next to nothing, and it makes tons of servings. So let's jump in, and I'll show you guys how you make this one. Alright, so the next recipe we have here is my tomato and egg stir fry, like I mentioned. So we got our eggs here, we got our tomatoes, we got our onions, white onion, green onion, and some garlic. And I got canned tomatoes. Ideally, you would want to use fresh tomatoes, but fresh tomatoes, if they're not in season, can be a little bit expensive. So I'm going to use canned ones, but like I said, if they're cheap, buy the fresh ones. If not, canned ones work just as good. You don't got to be crazy with the stuff. Next up, we're going to do is I'm going to pour some olive oil. I'm going to use olive oil because I usually use coconut oil, but I don't have any coconut oil on hand, so olive oil is just as good. I'm going to toss in our veggies here and kind of cook them on medium heat, kind of get them going a little bit, and then kind of mix them up here with the oil so they don't stick. I got this fancy little pan here to make our little tomato egg stir fry with, and I'm just going to mix them together really quick. Feel free to add any other vegetables you want. If you want to add chicken or some meat, or you can also use like vegetable broth or chicken broth if you want, whatever you guys want to do. But I'm just going to let those sit and cook. And the other secret ingredient I'm going to use is some kelp. This is like sea vegetables. Sea vegetables are actually ridiculously cheap for you, cheap to buy. I buy them off Amazon. You can just sprinkle them in there and you get lots of good nutrients. So once the onions all cook a bit together, I'm going to dump in the tomatoes here. You guys can see it's starting to look nice and juicy there. Tomatoes add a lot of like savory taste, and like I find you don't even need meat with this recipe because the tomatoes like really add a lot of substance and filling to the dish here. And now, because I use canned ones, it's going to make the dish a little bit more liquidy than normal. So that's something that's going to look a little bit weird, but that's part of the process. I'm just going to dump it in there and let it cook for a bit. So once it's kind of boiling and it's cooking good here, as you guys can see, it's starting to kind of get there. I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. And the next step is going to be to get our eggs ready to put in the stir fry. So I have 4 eggs here. You guys can use as many as you want. I find if you use a canned tomatoes, you got to use a little bit more eggs than normal. But it's up to you guys. You got to kind of find the right consistency and texture. I'm just going to use 4 here and mix them up just briefly here. It doesn't have to be perfect, whatever. Kind of mix up those eggs together, and then we're gonna basically empty our pan we had. We're gonna put the tomatoes and the onions separate, and then put the eggs in. And while that was going, I finished off my smoothie because I was getting kind of hungry for making the food. But here we have our scrambled eggs in the pan now. We're gonna cook them up, and you kind of want to make them so they're once again, it's kind of a personal preference. If you don't like runny eggs, then cook them a little bit more. If you don't mind, then I like to kind of get them to the point where they're just starting to stick onto the pan. And then once they just start to stick onto the pan, I dump the tomatoes. And again, it's up to you guys. If you guys don't like runny eggs, then cook them a little bit more, and they won't be as runny when you dump them in. So we're going to kind of mix it all together here. And again, it's not going to look that appetizing at first, but don't worry, it mixes together really nicely, and it tastes really good at the end of the day. So we're just going to mix it up here. And then what you want to do is bring it to a boil. Then once you bring it to a boil, kind of let it simmer for a bit. And as you guys will see here in just a second, that's kind of what we're going to do. So then our eggs are kind of like simmered for a bit, and they're kind of cooking really good here. You guys can see it's mixing together. I'm going to turn the heat off, let it sit for a little bit, cool down a little bit because it's going to be really hot. And then we're going to toss it in our bowl. And as you guys can see, here's our tomato egg stir fry. It looks delicious. This is one of my favorite meals. And you can make like, this will make like 3 or 4 servings. It's very filling, very, very filling, and really ridiculously cheap to make. Third recipe we're going to talk about today is going to be a vegetable soup. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get to record making the vegetable soup because this weekend I actually ended up getting sick for a couple days. So basically what happened is my girlfriend made the soup for me, so I just did a quick little video. I'll show you guys kind of what I put in and whatnot, but it's just a really basic soup here, nothing too fancy, and it's really simple, and soups aren't really complicated, and they're really cheap, and they're really easy to make, and like just like most of these things, per serving wise, it actually makes a lot of food. So at the end of the day, you know, you're getting fresh vegetables into your diet that are really good for you, and it doesn't really cost that much. And once you start making homemade soups, you'll never buy canned soups again because they taste 1,000 times better and they're way better for you. So here's the homemade soup here, and I'll kind of give you guys a quick little overview of what I put inside of it. And like I mentioned, guys, here's the third and final recipe. This is just a simple vegetable soup. So this is pretty easy. Just get a big pot, put some oil in, cook the vegetables for a little bit. So we have carrots, onions, garlic, celery, tomatoes. I think I put some kale and some lentils and some tomatoes. So the lentils and tomatoes add a lot to the dish. Just let it soak and cook in, like bring it to a boil. I usually cook it for like half an hour to an hour, longer the better, but just let it sit and it'll like everything will go together and it tastes really good. And you can add whatever you want as well to kind of spice up the dish if you feel you need to. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think. Sorry I didn't get this video out to you guys sooner. I've just been really busy with everything. And yeah, we'll have some more videos on investing and whatnot going into the future. Probably over the next couple of days, I'll do an update on the dividend portfolio and whatnot. So anyways guys, let me know what you guys think of this video. If you guys want to see more videos like this, give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment if you guys have any comments or questions on anything that I covered inside this video. Take care. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys later.